Um, Now, how would you like to be a U.S. history teacher, teaching about the greatness of this country, about liberty and justice and constitutional rights, okay, when in reality, they forgot about this. This didn't apply to us. You realize that? We never had a trial. We never had charges. We never had an attorney. The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, they didn't even support us. Only the Quakers, American Friends. So when it came to the Arab and Muslim Americans, we were the first ones to support them, and we wanted others to support them. Let me just one more thing. Okay. Martin Luther King Jr. You know, he said, "I have a dream." That was nice, huh? Yeah. But he said something else. He said, "Be true to what you say on paper." He's telling America, be true to what you say. What? Right here. Constitution. The words we live by. So the lesson, basically, is about the Constitution.
In your post-war life, you're a history teacher, and was it ever frustrating for you? Because we've learned that about textbook reforms that at a point probably I know that I didn't learn that much about the Japanese internment in history, but is it frustrating for you to see what's left out of the history books?
When I first started, there was 2 paragraphs devoted to Japanese Americans. One, we were interned in camp, and the second paragraph, just a few sentences about our military, our Japanese American soldiers. 2 paragraphs. That wasn't enough. And so what we did, and it took 10 years to get the curriculum changed and the textbooks changed. So we went with social studies first, and we had a coalition of Hispanics, blacks, women, because women, while they're in the majority, are treated as a minority. And what we need to do is something a little bit more than Rosie the Riveter. Okay? There are women in executive positions. I'm waiting for the time, we have a woman as president of the United States. And that day will come. I hope I'm around to see it. I would prefer a grandmother. I think a grandmother would be great. So it took, so we got the curriculum changed for the state of California, and then we had to find somebody, and found a guy named Nash, Professor Nash, at UCLA to write the textbook. So now we have 4 pages. Included are the contributions of Cesar Chavez, but he's not the only Hispanic American that has contributed to American history. For too long, the history books, and your grandfather, and others were taught U.S. history from the point of view of mother, God, and country.
Did you originally talk about the experience that you had in the camps? And you'd also mentioned that your wife was in one. Did you?
No, my wife wasn't. She was born after. Her 2 brothers were born in camp. But at first, no. I didn't teach about it. I stuck to the course of study. And then later, groups of Japanese Americans said, "You know what, we're going to need to change the book," and whatever. And I was convinced they were right, and we needed to do this. So while we're in the process of changing the course of study and the curriculum, we had to develop it. And so I started to work with others who were concerned, and this was basically with the Japanese American Citizens League. We developed an educational committee, said, let's do it. And so we testified in Sacramento before the social studies staff and with the State Department Board of Education, and convinced them. And you know, as we're doing it, women and others are in, you know, it wasn't just all men now. Okay, it was, and there were minorities on the Board of Education. It wasn't just lily white anymore. So we had a receptive group. So all of this was meshing together, and telling the story of American history correctly is important. So the contribution of Black Americans, you know, it's open heart surgery, the first one. We say Admiral Perry was there at the North Pole. You know who took him there? Matthew Henson, and he was a black. He spoke Eskimo. Somebody had to show Perry where the North Pole was. It was a black man.
Well, I'm out of questions, but is there anything else that you wanted to say that I didn't cover?
No, but it was a pleasure, a privilege for me. I'm so glad that so many people are interested in the Japanese American internment, but you know it's an important part of American history, and the reason for that is it should never happen. It's not supposed to happen. Guess what? Do we have people who are interned in our country, detained, without charges right now?
I don't actually know.
Do we?
Well, I think like Guantanamo Bay.
Thank you. Gitmo. And they've been there for 7 years. Twice as long as we were interned. Without charges. Without lawyers. What happened to the Constitution? What happened to the writ of habeas corpus? Habeas corpus, written. Habeas you have. Corpus is body. You're interned. You're in prison. You're in a dungeon. Okay? You want out. Or you want charges. The writ of habeas corpus, I go to the judge and I say, look, they're holding my client. I'm your lawyer. I'm holding, okay. I says, Judge, I want my client out. He says, well, what are the charges? I don't know. Let's find out. There are no charges. The judge signs a writ of habeas corpus, goes to the jailer. Okay, I take it to the jailer. As his writ of habeas corpus, I want my client. The body happens to be alive, okay? I want my client out. If you're not going to press charges, you can't hold them. Now the president is saying something about prolonged detention. This is our president, Obama. And I'm going, what the hell is that? You cannot do that. And he's supposed to be a constitutional lawyer. And I'm going, am I mad? The answer is yes, I am mad. The law has to apply equally to everyone. Where the American flag flies, the Constitution is there. And he's saying no. Bush said no. Anyway, so it's a study of the Constitution of the United States. I've never really got into that, you know, if I had more time.
Well, thank you so much for letting me ask you all these questions and telling us about it.
Well, thank you for asking. Okay.